I am here with Melissa Ait Belaid. Ait Belaid. I am here with
Yes.
Melissa Ait Belaid. She's a candidate for Board of Trustees in the Princeton ISD, and we're going to find out a little bit about why she feels she's the candidate for this position. Melissa, how how have you taken time to get to know people of a different mindset and background from you?
Well, that's been really baked into my entire life. I have parents who cared deeply about us being exposed to people from different walks of life, different ethnicities, different mindsets and backgrounds. I was born in Dallas and then we moved to Mesquite and then Rowlett. I spent the first 2 years of my schooling in Dallas ISD. Mostly black and brown children went there. And when we moved to Rowlett, it was a predominantly white community at the time. I chose to continue Spanish language studies through both AP courses, junior and senior year. And
Mm-hmm.
those courses were only with Latinos, and I am a Black American. And
Mm-hmm.
I lived abroad in Santo Domingo to study Spanish and learn more about that culture or the many cultures represented by Hispanic Americans. And I studied international studies and taught ESL living in Washington, D.C., learning different, not only the education sector, but also more the creative sectors. And ultimately, I married a man from Morocco. So that's why my last name is Ait Belaid and not Chapman anymore. So it's been a part of my entire life.
So, Miss Ait Belaid, are you bilingual?
I am bilingual, yes. I speak
That's
Spanish
awesome.
fluently, I speak English fluently, and I'm conversational and literate in French as well.
So, what community groups, associations, and causes have you led?
So, since being back in Dallas, one of the first organizations that I joined and led in on the board was American Association of University Women. We advocate for women's education, especially in underrepresented fields, including in elected leadership or politics as well. I have most recently served as a treasurer of a political club, and that's another reason of for why I feel that I understand people from different backgrounds as well. And in college, I led an anti-human trafficking organization and did mentorship. So these have always been a part of my way of giving back to the community and supporting the next generation behind me.
So, what got you interested in the becoming a school board trustee?
So I first thought of it and considered it when my children were coming into Princeton ISD as pre-K students. They did not go here in the district. We were not eligible for the pre-K schooling here, but I wanted to look into the school district that they would soon join. And at the time, we weren't yet streaming our school board meetings. It was difficult to learn about the schools as a community member. They're not so friendly to just non-parents of children there that want to walk into a school building and learn more about it. So, with having a background in learning about public service and elected leadership, I thought it was a good way to apply my skills in that and run for the position. That was 2 years ago. I did lose that race, but I got back into it because I still felt it was really important for a parent of district children to be represented on the board. And also in this time of explosive growth, where we've gone from 5,000 students 6 years ago to now 11,000 students, and we will grow to 25,000 students, for me to bring my expertise and background in education policy and working with English learners and training teachers and digital strategies and one-to-one devices and training teachers on language acquisition strategies, both for world languages and for emergent bilinguals, to really bring that expertise and the resources I've gained along the way to the board.
Melissa, what experiences do you bring to that role, or will you bring to that role?
Yes, so Specifically, in terms of training teachers, I supported a rollout on a grant program in Dallas ISD to put Kindles or one-to-one devices for
Hmm.
personalized learning into every third through fifth grade classroom. This is pre-pandemic, so I was training teachers and also training those who had less familiarity because they were senior citizens with this type of technology and learning what was out there in educational technology or ed tech. I've attended conferences across the nation around language teaching and training, and I've also built up civic leaders in my career as a civic leadership development coach. So I'm well positioned to teach our community how government works and
Hmm.
include them in the process as well.
So in Princeton, are you hearing criticisms of the school board, or you just looking to add on to what already has been established?
While there are criticisms out there, it's typically not directed to the school board so pointedly as it is a criticism of what the student experience is in Princeton ISD. One of the
Hmm.
biggest issues I hear raised is around special education. And this is a challenge for every district in the state of Texas because of the way funding works and how difficult it is to recruit and maintain and retain special
Hmm.
education teachers. But
Hmm.
we hear that we've got to get the ratios right. You cannot have too many students to the teacher or the aide with special education, and the funding really has to be there the way it should be. We get both federal sources of funding and state, but we want to ensure that the other funding sources we can have in the district budget are represented in the line items. So special education is really a sore spot for a lot of community members. Also, enrichment, and I experienced this myself. I chose to sacrifice and put my kids into high quality early childhood education. It wasn't cheap, but I found it to be so necessary. So, right, that to be holding a pencil and writing at 2 years old is much different than a child who the first time they're holding a pencil is 5 years old in kindergarten. So I
Hmm.
wonder, what are those enrichment opportunities that we have for students who may have been exposed to the educational environment before they join? And I meet moms and dads all the time, parents in the community who have taken their kids into a homeschooling environment, either because of their special needs or the lack of enrichment activities, opportunities that we have in the schools. Um, and then, of course, community members are concerned around our rollout of the newer House bills and Senate bills around education, in terms of the vetting of school libraries and classroom libraries and how much time and burden is placed on teachers. So we've attracted excellent educators with excellent stipends, and this is one bright spot definitely for our school board for approving in district stipends to attract our teachers not only to teach here but to live here. So we retain them with great salaries and stipends. However, I'm hearing there's kind of a disconnect in the types of trainings that they're receiving to be equipped with the resources and skills that they need to serve a growing and incredibly diverse student population.
Do you think your participation will help to bring a fresh, new approach to Princeton ISD?
You have to know that when you come into a new role, that despite having perhaps and some innovative ideas or practices, it's not about, I've got a new idea, let's implement it right away. It really is about understanding the role of the school board, which, because of my professional trainings and my colleagues across the nation who are on school boards or in other elected positions, and the trainings I've received for school systems leadership right here in Dallas, um, is that the role of the school board has two things, two prongs, right? We've got to approve the budget, and we
Hmm.
need to hire the superintendent and set goals for the superintendent and then evaluate their performance against those goals. So I'm not looking here to overhaul a system or to bring fresh new ideas all the time, but I
Hmm.
do know that I have a unique perspective as both a parent and an educator that
Hmm.
can focus us on student achievement to ensure that as we look at the line items of the budget and the goals of the superintendent, that it's focused on every school in Princeton being an A or a B. Failure is unacceptable for my children, and I think it's unacceptable for any student in Princeton.
In your experience, what are the better aspects or the best aspects of Princeton and Princeton ISD?
Yeah, the better aspects. I mean, one of the great things is we have these incredible new facilities. So that is one challenge that the current board has had is to keep up with student growth and to have presentations around what schools should include inside of them and around them, right? And a lot of other
Hmm.
districts are not always having to say, let's plan for growth. They're saying, let's keep the course and deal with new challenges as they arrive, typically maybe
Hmm.
around student behaviors or new curriculum or what parents are asking of them. But our board has had to deal with unprecedented growth and typically with those who have been here historically and we're not living in other districts or teaching in other districts or working in other districts regularly. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm sorry, I want to make sure I focus on the question. Can you repeat the question for me again, Terrell?
Well, the question is, what are the best aspects of Princeton and Princeton ISD? Hmm.
Yes. So with that, they've done a great job with our construction updates and
Hmm.
assuring the community that we're ready for the growth and to be cost friendly, right? Our return on investment is great when you say every new elementary school and every new middle school are going to have the exact same footprint. So
Hmm.
while it may not be fancy and exciting to see new wings in every new middle school or elementary school, we know that our taxpayer dollars are being used efficiently and not going to waste, and that we're using the same model for every elementary school and middle school. So I think that's one of our brighter spots. Um, and then I know that we have great pride, right? We're a 6A district now,
Okay.
and we stay focused on our kids. We celebrate their achievements. You can see that at just about every school board meeting. So I'd
Hmm.
like for us to continue that practice to focus on our children and to celebrate them and center them in our conversations.
You've told us quite a bit about Princeton and Princeton ISD. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your educational and work backgrounds?
Yeah, I studied at University of Missouri and I majored in both Spanish and international studies as a Spanish
Hmm.
as a double major.
Hmm.
um, Volunteered a great deal on campus, and that attracted Teach for America to recruit me. I was a non-education major, and that's what Teach for America looks for, are leaders on campus who have a heart of service and who wanted to go into the most challenging school districts in our nation with the highest achievement gap, with the idea that mission that one day every child in America will achieve an excellent education or have that
Hmm.
opportunity for an excellent education. And it's driven
Hmm.
me ever since. Even when I left education and started learning the worlds of design and getting into adult learning, I still was drawn back towards education. So for 8 years, I was an entrepreneur after working
Hmm.
for a year in policy in Washington, D.C. on English learner
Hmm.
policy and also on Titles 1 and 2. Um, and I founded a tutoring firm and I specialize in tutoring adult learners of English in the corporate space. Eventually, I tried to roll that into or pivot into an ed tech or yeah, really an ed tech platform for one-to-one
Hmm.
tutoring, like tutoring on demand,
Hmm.
and poured a lot of research and development into that. But as I
Hmm.
had my first daughter and some of the grants I had and even opening a STEAM coding school and iCode were no longer sustainable for our family, I decided to go back into teaching. So I taught 4 years of Spanish in North Texas and then
Hmm.
most recently taught or supported teachers in language acquisition strategies for emergent bilinguals. And then I now work for a nonprofit in civic leadership development.
What are the most pressing issues you're finding in Princeton ISD?
Yeah, so I mentioned sort of our need for really vigilance special education oversight, but we also have a great many languages in our represented in our schools. Not only do we have Spanish, but there
Mm-hmm.
are multiple languages from across the globe
Mm-hmm.
represented. So we need to have strong English language learner strategists and those with that certification. Additionally, our bilingual program, as I hear it, could be implemented with more fidelity with a late exit model. And
Mm-hmm.
so while we welcome our students who speak Spanish at home into our classroom, the idea is kind of to switch over to Spanish faster. But research shows, and really strong school districts with a late exit model of exiting in fifth grade with a strong dual language under competencies, proficiency in both English and Spanish. These students are high performers on all indicators, and Princeton would do well to say, let's develop their biliteracy, and then after fifth grade, switch to the English only program because it honors their home culture. It honors their home language, and it also gives them the time that they need to develop literacy in their home language and then literacy in English as well. So, those are some of the biggest issues. And then safety. Safety is huge for me. I found out later, I guess the year before my daughter enrolled, that the school in our neighborhood was installed without school zone lights, without crosswalks, without the safety strips, without slow children at play signs. We're out of city limits, and a lot of Princeton is out of city limits. And you look at those renderings now, and you still wonder, are those schools going to be installed with the appropriate safety features that are common sense and necessary for both families and the children to get to
Mm-hmm.
school safely? As some neighborhoods without sidewalks, some with very tiny streets that you wonder if a school bus could pass through. So are we really, really looking at how Princeton ISD has jurisdiction across all of the ETJ or the extraterritorial jurisdictions, the PIDs
Mm-hmm.
and the MUDs, all the unincorporated areas that are not covered by the city, the municipality, to say, are
Mm-hmm.
we talking to the HOAs? Are we talking to the municipal utility boards? Are we talking with the county commissioners and with TxDOT about these roads and about what features need to be installed?
In what area do you think you would make the biggest impact or the biggest contribution, and why?
You know, at times I think it's going to be my education background that would make the biggest impact, and that's what a lot of community members are really excited for me.
Mm-hmm.
However, I really think it's this piece of including more community members in the process. One piece of my campaign platform is community engagement. I think we should be at festivals, celebrations from different communities across Princeton because we are so diverse, and ensuring that the school board is there listening to the community members and being a part of everyday community life. And with that, also welcoming those voices, welcoming our community into the school board meetings and in dialogue, even via email or other forms of two-way communication, to and make sure that everyone feels welcome, even before they step foot in the school, to invite them to step foot in the schools,
Mm-hmm.
to invite their voices about what they want to see when their kids do get there. So we could
Mm-hmm.
definitely have a more robust community presence, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be my biggest impact is just to include more voices in the decision making process.
So, for parents and voters in the Princeton ISD, why is Melissa the best candidate? Tell us.
I'm the best candidate because I have skin in the game. I take my kids with these parents in Princeton every day to school. I'm in the car line. I'm there at pickup when I'm tired and the kids are hard to motivate. I get the messages from the schools. I talk with the teachers. I'm there every day advocating for our public schools to thrive and for every Princeton student to thrive. With
Mm-hmm.
that, I also bring this background in education policy and training teachers to ensure our
Mm-hmm.
teachers have what they need every day to reach our kids and to bring them up to the level that we want for our kids, A schools or B schools for every student. And I know how to include many voices in the decision making process without it sounding messy or like that we can't listen to
Mm-hmm.
everyone, but
Mm-hmm.
there is a
Mm-hmm.
way to welcome those voices and to streamline the way that we process the information and the needs that they're sharing with us.
For those who are wanting to support or getting behind your campaign, how do they donate or support you?
Yeah, there are the best way is to go to my website, www.melissaforprinceton.com, and you can sign up there. And I've got a
Hmm.
QR code here that says support Melissa. If you scan this, it allows you to contribute to my campaign, to reach more voters, to share my message, to show up at their doors, to run community engagement events. We've got to be powered by money. So please contribute 10 today, 15 today, 25 today. And it also shows how much Princeton supports my candidacy and wants me there when your voices show up on my contribution reports. So please support me today by scanning the QR code, going to melissaforprinceton.com and signing up to be a volunteer, to get a sign, to be there at the polls. Show the community that you support my vision and that I'm supporting, or I show the community that you support my vision and that I am listening to your vision and carrying that forward.
So, is there anything you would like to say before we let you go?
I'd like to say, really give a moment of gratitude for the trustees that are serving now and that have served for many years and who have seen us through this difficult time and times of criticism, times of misunderstanding, difficult, challenging times of divisiveness in our country. Uh,
Hmm.
so grateful for all that they have done to go there and serve once a month, Monday nights, to show up and listen, and then knowing that they're welcoming new voices and making space for the new community members that are here as well.
Hmm. Well, Melissa, thank you for your time. Good luck on your candidacy and your upcoming election for Princeton ISD School Board of Trustees. And you always have a platform here, and we look forward to hearing the good news soon.